the first question is specifically for them.
Yeah.
Does the pyramid mean that when you're starting over $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, you're moving up the pyramid? Or does that mean that when you're in 50 million, you still have to go down the pyramid?
Yeah.
So how does the model apply to a $1 to $5 to $10 million business and over the $50 million business?
Yeah, it uses a technique called the chain. I do want to share one thing. I can tell you how you can spot someone that has a $50 million business. They're the least assuming people. Inevitably, it's a poker thing. If you and I are playing poker, the person who has the weakest hand bluffs. I'm like, oh, I got nothing in my hand, so I'm gonna try to push you off the table. The strongest hands sit back. I'm comfortable, man. Yeah, keep playing, because I know I'll win this way. It's the people that feel compelled to show off their success inevitably are the least successful. And the most unassuming are the most successful. So just a life lesson I found. So when you find someone bragging about what they've achieved, usually they haven't achieved it yet. In regards to this method, it's called the chain. Pretend if it was way across the room, there's a chain between me and you, and our job is to make the chain stronger. If we're pulling it, the traditional way to fix a chain is like, let's just make every link stronger. Let's just keep fixing it and the chain will get stronger. But the reality is it'll keep breaking at the weakest link. So the first step is to identify where's the weak link. If we fix one link, the weakest one, the chain now has gotten stronger to the next weak link. And you fix that, the chain is stronger. So the sequence of how you do things is critical. This is, to your point, this is not a ladder. You don't just start working on every single link. You have to identify where the link is weak currently. Here's how you do it. You always start at the base. I don't care if you're a $200 million company or a brand new startup. Do we have what's called adequate sales to support a profitable business? These are always linked together. So if we don't have enough sales to support profit, we have a sales issue. Or if you are not profitable and you're trying to sell your way out of it and you're not profitable, you actually have a profit problem. There's a problem with the link. In our research, most companies struggle with figuring out profit and they think they can sell their way out of it. They're fixing the wrong links and the chain keeps snapping and they're like, I don't get it. You keep going to different ones until if you have adequate sales and you're profitable, now it frees you up to build efficiency. I don't have to worry about making money tomorrow. I can sit back and focus on our team getting better and better. And once my team's really good and profit's in place, I can focus on impact by transforming the globe and in legacy, which is stewardship of a business. Amazon, with hundreds of billions, I don't know what they make. They're bigger than all of us combined. They were not sitting at the legacy. They're always bouncing around. When COVID hit, do you remember when COVID hit? They went to essential goods only. They had Prime members, buy what you want when you want. They said, oh, we have a sales problem. We're not selling appropriately. It's hurting our business. Amazon stopped making they were working on an autonomous car, They stopped focusing on Prime services. They said essential goods only. And they improved the sales to ensure profitability, and then they adjusted back. So this pyramid, like Maslow, it's always in every single business of any size. You have to identify where your one need is and fix that. The other thing is many business owners try to fix many things at once, and that is a fallacy too. We dilute ourselves. Identify your biggest challenge and crush it on that one thing, and then the next.
This would be do it on a quarterly scale or a monthly scale? What would be your?
Yeah, we call it an irrevocable fix, meaning we fix something, and once it's fixed without any potential of rewinding, then we move to the next thing. Minimally, we do it on quarterly. Sometimes they move faster. Sometimes you fix something and like, oh, that was clear. Oh, we just needed to change a button on a website and our sales improved. So the next day. But every quarter we do what's called a tacking strategy. Most businesses are told to do business planning. Where are you going to be in 5 years and what's the plan to get there? The reality is business doesn't move linearly. We don't go in a straight line. Most businesses have to avoid obstacles. There's a sailing term called tacking. Tacking is, I want to go here, but my boat is here, and I'm going to have to capture the winds blowing, so I'm going to go this way to get the most of the wind. Then I'm going to realign my ship and go that way, and this way, and that, and I zigzag. It's called a tack. We don't have a 5-year business plan. We have a vision. We have a 5-year vision, but how did we intend to have legacy and serve the world? But we have a 90-day tack, meaning we know exactly what we're doing the next 90 days. We know right now as the economy's shifting, we have a membership organization that people are tired of memberships in general. We are changing to a new, and I can't disclose how, but we're changing significantly as our tack for this quarter. And then we'll do the next thing.
When I was reading Profit First, Mike, I had already read another book, but I don't know if you have read that, but it's called The Three Tensions.
No.
And it's if you I would love to put you guys in a cage, like do a UFC fight.
Oh, me and that author?
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to. I'll send Raul in on my behalf.
Yeah. Because I was reading it, and both views are so different. So I would like you to answer on the. So the tensions are these things that are felt in an organization. One of the tensions is obviously profit against growth. So the author argues that when you go for profit, you're actually hurting growth.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready for the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to put that into perspective. How do you answer to somebody that's just seen profit first, but then they have a counselor, they have somebody on the board, they have somebody preaching that actually profitability is going to hurt growth.
Yeah.
And there's a slide I actually use a lot, which shows Amazon's profit, and they weren't profitable for the first 20 years. I'm not such a long-term guy, but I usually like 5 to 6 year cycles where I'm not aiming for profitability. But how do you answer? Is actually profitability hurting growth? How do you answer to that on the profit?
Yeah. So this would be a UFC fight, and I'm raising my voice not for you, just to make sure everyone can hear. I think that's a total misnomer. We look at typically 5 to 6 companies and say that's the definition of entrepreneurial success. Amazon, Elon Musk, maybe in the female space, Spanx, which is Sarah Blakely. We identify 5 people. Do you know there's 330 million small businesses? Those are the lottery winners who are really lucky, and they're smart. They're great, capable people. That is not the normal, typical pathway. The normal, typical pathway is sustainability, figuring out what you got, maybe getting to $50 million or something. That's a normal path, and it's ignored. I'll give you an example. Has anyone here by chance heard of the Savannah Bananas baseball team?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. They implemented Profit First on day one. So Jesse Cole, Emily Cole are the founders. If you have not heard of the Savannah Bananas, please Google them after this event. If you've ever heard of the Harlem Globetrotters, they are the Harlem Globetrotters for baseball. They've redefined baseball. Jesse Cole, he sent me a card, a baseball card, and he said Profit First has made us grow faster than any baseball team in the world. To give you a little context, Savannah Bananas is a minor league, effectively, baseball team. They are more profitable than the major league teams on a percentage basis. So the Yankees, they spend billions to make billions. Savannah Bananas spends nothing to make a ton of money. They just sold out Fenway Park, 40,000 people at the park to watch a Harlem Globetrotters baseball game. Here's what they did. Profit triggers growth because it forces innovative thinking, out of the box thinking, redefining the industry. Jesse said we implemented Profit First. We bought this little minor league baseball team. The average minor league game has 300 people come. It's like the parents of the players. You sell a ticket for $10. So you're lucky to get $3,000, and to operate a game takes about $5,000. You lose money. And they said, we want to make money. They bought a team, they implement Profit First. The first game, 300 people show. They take 10%, $300. They now have less money to operate the business. Jesse looks at his numbers and says, I guess we can't operate the scoreboard. He didn't say I can't be profitable. He said, I guess we can't operate the scoreboard. The first baseball team to say we're getting rid of the scoreboard. He then says, I guess we can't afford the mascot. And he goes, but there's people on the stands. What if we ask those people to come on the stand and the fans are the entertainment? They started what's called the Grandma Bananas. You have to be 80, this is true, 80 years or older, and you don't have to have teeth, that's optional, to qualify. And there's these old biddies coming down going, go Savannah Bananas. And the audience loses their effing mind. Like, this is amazing. Savannah Bananas has sold out 6 consecutive seasons, 5,000 people per game in Savannah for a stadium that can't even fit 300 people. They are wildly profitable. They've redefined the industry. They now have sold out Fenway. They've sold out in Jersey City, I can't remember what it was. And they're the fastest growing baseball team in the world. The lesson is this. When you take profit, it forces you to make innovative decisions. It forces you to redefine the industry. They've recreated the game of baseball, and people are going crazy over it. And I got countless stories like this. I can point to, and we can go through them over and over, I can point to tens of thousands of stories, but most people point to 5 stories about growth. Well, look what Elon Musk did. Look what Bezos did. I'm like, that's not normal. That's a lottery win, and they deserve it. And you can fly in a penis spaceship when you do that, like Bezos. But there's thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs who grow wickedly fast because they're taking their profit first.
There's another model I really like, Mike, from the Clockbook book, the 4 Ds, no? It's do, delegate, decide, and
design.
And design.
Yeah. So it's at the process. The order is do, decide, then delegate, design. So I met with Michael Gerber. Has anyone heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay. E-Myth, yeah. So I was at Tech, the University of Monterey, and Michael Gerber, myself, and Guy Kawasaki were the presenters. And so I went out to dinner with Michael Gerber, the author of E-Myth, and he famously says, don't work in your business, work on your business. And if you haven't read E-Myth, please read this book. We went out to dinner. He's an eccentric guy. And I said, Michael, your book is one of my favorite books of all time. Have you found that it serves people? And he says, shockingly, few people are served by it. And I said, what do you mean? This is like the Bible. He says, because most people think if you work in your business long enough, that one day magically you will work on it. He said most people buy into the hustle and grind. There's really famous people who say you got to hustle and grind. Bullshit. Hustle and grind means superhero. It means work your ass off to the disregard of everything in your life. It means live into the addiction. I'm telling you, the best thing we can do for our business is pull ourselves out to empower others. And Michael Gerber said, yeah, the hustle and grind means work in, and one day, hey, I sit back and it's working. No, the business becomes more dependent on you. So after meeting with him, and he endorsed the book, and he endorsed many of my books now, we talked about this throttle. In the very beginning, you must work in your business. You can't grow your business when you start out with other people because you have no money. In the beginning, you have to do it. But then we have to move to a stage called deciding. Deciding is where I'm not going to do the work, I'm going to make the decisions for the work that's done. So if you're my assistant, you come to me and say, Mike, what should I do? And I'll say, go do invoicing now. I decide, you go do it, and then you come back and ask me, what should I do now? It's called task rabbiting. Of the 330 million businesses globally, 90% will never go over 5 employees because they get stuck in deciding. The one brain is the owner saying, this is what you do, come back to me with questions. The only time they can actually do work is after everyone finishes their work. The next level is delegation, and most people don't understand delegation. Delegation is not the assignment of tasks. Delegation is the assignment of outcomes. We agree upon the achievement. So here, I'll give an example with invoicing. I had an assistant. In the beginning, I used to say, she's come to me and ask a question. How should I invoice? Oh, do it this way. We have a best practice. Go do it. I have a question. Oh, let me fix that. She came to me one day and said, I'm going to stop deciding for you. I'm going to tell you the outcome we want. We want to build timely and accurately. And do you understand why? Her name was Jackie. She said, yeah, if we build timely, it improves our finances. If we build accurately, it's fair to our customers. I said, exactly. I said, we have a best practice, something we've done in the past. Keep following this. But if you find a better way to get to that outcome, do it. That's delegation. Now, this won't be a surprise. She came back 10 minutes later and said, I got a question. And I said, can't answer your question. The key to delegation is to not answer questions. It's to say, I hired you for that thing on your shoulders, that brain. Go do it. And many of us know this, many of us don't do it. There's one more thing that almost no one does, which is the most important part, Carlos, of delegation. It's approving their decisions even if you don't like it. Jackie came back to me. This is a true story. This is many years ago. She goes, Mike, I'm doing invoicing. You told me we want to build timely and accurately. We have thousands and thousands of customers. I can't sort them out anymore using this alphabetical system of last name, first name. It's not working. There's a lot of Smiths and Rodriguez in the world. So I said, okay. She goes, what should I do? I said, your decision. You guess the outcome. She goes, I got an idea. We're going to sort people out, this is true, by middle initial. I bit my tongue. I'm like, oh, there's 26 letters in the alphabet. You're going to sort by, I said, okay, great. Go do it. The key is I approved her decision, even though I knew instinctively it was bad. I gave her the rope. She came back the next day. She goes, Mike, I want you to know something. My system is not working so well. I'm like, really? Sounded like you may. She goes, it was a bad decision. I came up with a new thing, and she came up with a system that we still use 10 years later today, a new sorting system. Because I gave her the rope, she's empowered to make decisions, and she's empowered to find her own mistakes and fix them. The only person that most entrepreneurs empower is ourselves. If we make a mistake, that's fine. I learned a way not to, I'm an idiot, and we've changed it. We have to allow our employees to do the same. That's delegation. And then the final stage is designing. When you are truly delegating to your team, empowering them, allowing them to have thought and control, agreed upon outcomes, you move to design. Design is vision. This is how I want to change the world. Our vision, we want to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty. That's our mission of our organization. That's where people want to be successful and are struggling. I got 330 million people to serve. Profit First isn't even at 1 million yet. We are far behind on our vision. I got to drive it and drive it and drive it and innovate ways. But gosh, if I am deciding for people, we've killed the mission.
But in the every week for a CEO, there's still a combination of those 4 Ds in the week.
Yeah, depends on the size of your organization. Yeah. So if I have hundreds of employees, maybe I focus on designing. Like, well, let's use Jeff Bezos as an example. When you make an order at Amazon, Jeff isn't running down to the warehouse and I got to pack this up. I mean, that'd be absurd. He doesn't do any of that stuff. But occasionally he does a sale, not to us. He'll go to the city of Austin and say, we'd like to make $1 billion investment here. Let's talk about the tax breaks we're going to get. He's in the most strategic, high-end decision making. He's not doing the work, he's designing. But as we grow, if we're a small business, if you have a handful of employees, you have to get in there and do some of the work. So over time, extract yourself from doing. I found, it's called the Pareto principle. Most businesses are best balanced by 80% of the workforce, including ourselves, are doing the doing work. And 20% of the workforce is designing. Us as owners, when you start, you may have to do some of that 80%, but over time, as your organization grows, you're doing just the 20% of designing work.
Mike, and prepare your questions, please, for Mike. Before let me just give you one last, and then we'll go.
I cut you off earlier. I'm sorry.
There's a thing that keeps coming up on my mentorship sessions is the fact that owners are worried about the new generation, meaning the new people coming in, because they have a different sense of time. They don't want to work in the office. They want the 4-week vacation you offer them.
Yeah.
And
I'll take them all, by the way.
And the level of intensity, which we were used to work when we started. Like usually you hired the young ones, and the young ones had this energy that they were 18 hours in the office, and they were the ones driving the business.
For sure.
And now the new people are coming in. I mean, our organization, especially in Mexico, we have a lot of people in these. So our new people coming in, but the level of energy is just
different. It's different.
It's so how are you thinking on incorporating these new Gen Z culture into the office and into an organization that wants to thrive?
I remember when I was growing up, look at my parents, especially my father. My father said, "This is how we did things in the old day." I'm like, "You're a fool! There's a new generation, Dad." Now my employees are like, I'm looking at them saying, "This is how we did things in the old way." And they're like, "Mike, you're a fool!" And they're like, "Oh, I'm the old guy now." Like, we, in general, are becoming that old guy. And we still think, just like our parents, that we knew the old good way. I'd employed Gen Z. We were doing some stuff for our website. And we need to do this website design. And I'm like, "You're going to have to work hard to get this." And you have a week deadline. And now it's approaching Friday, the end of the week. I'm like, "Have you even started?" I'm like, "No, not yet." I'm like, "Oh my God, the idiots." Friday, I pull in, the website's perfect. I'm like, "That's unbelievable. How'd you do that?" They go, "Oh, I used Ruby AI, connected it with this. We did a ChatGPT poll. We threw it into the script, did this. It only took about 15 minutes. I'm like, "This is better than I could have created." They're like, "Yeah, you idiot." I'm like, "Oh my God." What we see is, and this is a trap of entrepreneurs, we like people like us. The number one recruiting mechanism historically is, I want to find people who are like me. Where'd you go to school? What same school? Oh my God, this is great. What's your interest? Oh, you like the same bands? Oh my God, you should work for me. The greatest entrepreneurs are seeking out diversity because it brings in intelligence we don't have. I'm impressed by Gen Z. They work differently. They don't work necessarily the way I work, but they work differently and can get stuff done in a very innovative way. It's blowing my mind. I just met with an author in the space who kicked my ass. He wrote a book called, and you should buy this book, it's called Don't Believe Everything You Think. Don't Believe Everything You Think. His name is Joseph Wynn. It took me 10 years to sell my first 700,000 books. It took him 10 days to sell 700,000 copies of his book. He kicked my ass till Sunday. And he's like, oh, yeah, there's no brainer. Here's what I did. ChatGPT rule. I'm like, oh my God. Watch out. These people are powerful if you know how to tap into it. I really believe that.
Interesting. Ahora sí, perdón.
Well, I have a question. For example, in cases like Carlos and you, that you are like the content generator, and you are like the image, how do you take 4 weeks out of the
Yeah.
Because I'm like in that kind of situation. I mean,
Yeah.
all sales, operations.
What kind of business do you have?
I have a retail store.
Retail store.
Yeah, we are a running store, and I make all the content for the customer. I'm like
That's amazing. And where are you based at?
in Monterrey.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, I got friends down there, so great.
I'll add a little bit to that question
Yeah.
because I want to drill a little bit more. We're in an era where, I mean, it was an era of the government, then the era of the brand logo, and we're in an era of the individual right now, right?
Where?
So that puts extra pressure on the fact that the CEO has to appear and the fact that there has to be a face on that.
Yes.
So how do you bounce that?
Yeah, that's a great point. So first of all, a personal brand, Carlos is like the master at it. The first thing to realize is as you lead an organization and you remove yourself from it, you can reinsert yourself in the way that gives you the most joy. I suspect, I can't speak for you, you get a lot of joy of how you serve your community through what you teach. And so do I. So the first thing is we have to get our business to where it doesn't need us and then reinsert ourselves. It's very hard to stay inserted and build a business that doesn't need us. So I started off with the extraction. The second thing is I then asked my team, how do we get my face out there a lot and do it where it doesn't need me all the time? Our team, in part, called Carlos, and he simply turned, I'll never forget this, you turned the camera around, dude, you're doing it wrong. And our team wrote this all down, and I came in the next morning, I was on that call, but Andrea, and there was an instruction set. Do this, do that, do this. Additional thing was, he said, take your content and record it in one batch and then slice it up into 1 million pieces. The next morning, there was a new studio in our office with microphones where we're talking about the current news because Carlos said to do it. So the team is making the instruction set and I come in and do my little thing. We also queue it up, meaning I have content all the way now till, I think, December. I got calls, and I met people, because I put some personal stuff up there. I got calls and talked to people last week, and they said, how's Napa Valley? Was that trip great? Are you just getting back? I haven't been there in a year. That was stuff from a year ago that was queued up. So the lesson is, in a personal-facing brand, you can queue, slice, and dice. The second thing is empower your team to do it. It's not me doing much at all. I will even ask, if it's with your permission, bless you, may we get this video? Because there's a couple moments that Raul was speaking, and Carlos, Raul, and me, that maybe I can slice and dice and use for my own stuff. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, well, the only thing is that as we are a retail, I mean, all the reviews of the shoes and everything must be done like almost at the moment. Because if I explain a shoe that I have right now and I publish it on December,
It's too late.
it's a lot.
So does it have to be you? Can it be a spokesperson for you? Can you have a character that does it? Could you wear a costume where you what's the wrestlers in Mexico with the mask? Yeah. I went to a wrestling match. That was my favorite wrestling match of all time. And the guy's like, try to pull his mask off. What if you had a mask on and you present the shoe? And now it doesn't have to be you. It could be anybody that does it. And it's the reveal from this person. It doesn't have to be you. And then what if there's a moment where you become this cool, funky brand? Like, who is it? And you're revealing the mask. That's one way to do it. Some of the biggest personal brands in the world are like Aunt Jemima syrup. Aunt Jemima's not a real person. Quaker Oats, I don't know if that's a guy or girl. That's not a real person. You don't have to be real. So, another idea.
I want to answer a little bit on that too.
Yeah.
I think that your personal brand is your time that you're delivering to yourself on the digital world, but it doesn't really have to be the business. And there's an interesting case study here, Lucas. Lucas is a very large real estate developer from Colombia. And he has like 4 different channels: the company brand, then the project brand, and then his personal CEO brand.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting combination of everything. And his personal brand is not really time for the business. The business has its own marketing and does its own thing. His brand just gives a little extra push. Now, the hard part, and this is what I'm struggling with, is the fact that the CEO is out there is very, very, right now it's so attractive.
Yeah, sure.
That it gets really easy attention.
Yeah.
So it's easier to work with the CEO brand, and that creates something that I personally hurt my businesses, because when I was doing this, my brand grew so much that I didn't start investing in time in the company brands. And that's a decision I regret now.
Yeah.
But this is a decision you need to marketing for the company, for the brand is going to be more expensive, it's going to be slower, and it doesn't drive the results that your personal brand does. But even though that happens, you have to do it. And with that company brand, with that company marketing, there should be different strategies. The mask is one, the AI avatar. The AI avatar is going to be, and just so you know, I read yesterday a prediction that in 2030, 80% of content is going to be powered by AI.
Yeah, I believe it.
So we're 6 years away of this being irrelevant for the content space.
Yeah, and I got one more tip. Have you ever heard of Will It Blend? Okay, write this down, and all of us should. Will It Blend? This is a
beautiful series.
Yeah, it's a blender. Okay. Yeah, you know. So now it comes back.
They blend the iPhone.
Correct. That the CEO wanted to get personally out there, but didn't have much time. So what he did is he took his blender and said, "Will it blend?" And he put marbles in there and an iPhone and different things to show the strength of his product. The rest of the team did all the other marketing. Why not have a Will It Blend for sneakers? Can an elephant wear the shoe? And have these moments where that's special to you. Similar to United Airlines, where it's the Platinum card, certain CEOs restrict themselves to a small demonstration that's really unique, and people crave for that moment. But now you don't have to be, here's a brand new shoe, here's a brand new shoe. Your team can do that. You do the ultimate test of Will It Blend.
I have another question. Okay, go Mario.
No, actually, I don't have that question, but I had like the experience being, because the first time I just hear about Mike, it was because Carlos suggested your book.
Oh, dude, you're the man, bro.
I'm promoting, man. I'm promoting.
That was
That's
like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I think so. It wasn't alive, and I started reading your book, and I started implementing and trying to do my own profit first experience. And let me tell you something on my own experience. Basically, the first step, like I followed the Michalowicz, as you explained on the book. Okay, and I started like a transactional business in this model. This is like the first chapter of implementing profit first on my business.
I just don't know if they can hear you. If you could speak back that way, because some people are trying to lean in.
Yeah, and then the second step for me, I will add another step, like innovation will be in the bottom. Innovation.
Yeah.
Innovation give you again sales, give you profit, and in order I apply some traction.
Yeah.
Because
Gina.
sometimes you could have huge sales, huge margins, but if you don't have execution,
Right.
okay, you don't have the correct execution, it's like we want to make $1 million. I want to make $1 million. Okay, in 84 years.
You're right.
You don't have the traction, right? And that's actually why when I try to do this on my business, first I start like in a transactional business, and then in the second chapter I apply innovation on the bottom.
Yeah, so just in case you didn't hear him, he said he added another layer called innovation. What innovation does is you redefine the industry. We talked about that. Do what the industry is not doing, and you make a new industry. The blender company was the first company to blend stuff that wasn't food. And they doubled their revenue in 6 months, from a $4 million to $8 million, then they went to 12 million and so forth. So he added innovation. I agree, that's critical.
That's a book, new book.
New book, yeah. Yeah, you got it. You got it, hermano.
Part two, yeah. So another question, Mike.
Yeah.
I was speaking this yesterday with Felix. Felix is a very successful also entrepreneur from Florida. Almost getting to the $50 million mark.
Beautiful.
We'll do it this year, no, Felix?
Nice.
And I was just telling him that once I've given right now mentorship to 3 persons that are over the $100 million mark.
Nice.
And the thing I've seen in them is their standards of order are just amazingly over the top.
Yeah.
And these are people that are obsessed with measuring, with procedures, it's just a level that for me was amazing. And then when I came back to the model, it makes perfect sense because I've met very simple entrepreneurs. I don't want to say a bad word, but very simple. They're making money.
Yeah.
But they reach a certain point where they can't scale. They
yeah.
can't scale anymore.
Yeah.
So this is a 2-part question.
Yeah.
First, is there a roof that is there like a 20 million, 25? Is there a point where if you don't work in order, you're just not gonna scale? And the second is how do you explain to somebody that's being successful that their level of order, they need to up their game in order. But it's hard to explain because they're doing money, right?
Yeah.
And they're living the life, and it's like, order means sort of breaking the life they're getting. So
a couple of thoughts.
Yeah.
So the first thought is the right size business can find you. I used to think, I need a $100 million business to feel significant. My biggest business was 15 million. But God, we were throwing a 50% bottom line, and it afforded a lifestyle experience that I wanted. So be careful of seeing a number and saying that's significance.
But stop right there. You said something right. The right size of the business will find you.
The right size business will find you. Not everyone.
That is a beautiful phrase.
Thank you.
Beautiful wording.
Yeah.
But
right
what happens when they want more than what they're finding?
Yeah. Exactly. So if you hit a level, it's not typically a number. It's typically a variability issue. What I mean is when we hit this, it's usually we're doing too diverse a set of things. It's actually a reduction of things that spawns faster growth. So I'll give you some historical examples. Procter & Gamble is the provider of all these different products, hair products, cleaning products. Procter & Gamble set out a vision to go to $1 billion. When they started, the owners, the founders, Procter & Gamble, said, we're too diverse. They made 2 products. They made candles and soap. And they said, if we keep doing this, we have to be okay at both. They decided to drop the candle line and only made soap. They made a soap product called Ivory. They infused it with bubbles, and it started to float because the US military needed floating soap. When you reduce your variable set, you can cater to your community better than anyone else. There's hundreds of soap makers. Procter & Gamble got to their 50 million on soap alone. Only once you achieve significance can you start introducing variability. So what most small businesses do, they say, I'm stuck, I got some customers, but I'm not growing. I have a captive audience, I should start doing more things. We bring diversity. Diversity is complexity, which reduces the ability to do order. I have to do this and that. I'll give you a crazy example. I'll give you one example. I live in New Jersey. In the fall, all the leaves come down. I have a lawn guy who blows the leaves. His name's Ernie. He came to me, this is like 5 years ago, he goes, Mike, I'm blowing leaves. I see there's leaves on your roof. Do you want me to go up there and clean them out? In his head, he's like, I got a captive audience. This guy will buy more. He's like, it's an extra $100. I'm like, yeah, do it. He goes to Home Depot because he didn't have ladders, gets ladders, comes back, climbs on the roof, blowing. Comes down, goes, Mike, I noticed there's some shingles loose. He goes, I just replaced them, this is true, on my own house. Do you want me to replace your shingles? $100. I'm like, Sure, do it. Back to Home Depot, goes up there, oh, it doesn't work, he's doing all this stuff. While he's up there, he goes, oh, your chimney's cracked, I can re-cement that. At the end of the day, he made, because I'm a captive audience, instead of $500 for cleaning my lawn, he made $800. The competitor next door, who only does lawns, made $500 over 10 lawns in that day. They made $5,000 by doing one thing really, really, really good. He made $800 by not knowing what the hell he's doing. And most small businesses diversify. Oh, we could also do this. The customer also wants that. And we become very ineffective, inefficient, and that's the block. If you are stuck here, it may be a revenue thing, but most cases, you're doing too much. And it's terrifying to say, we're going to stop doing this, but we're going to double down on that. But if you do it, you crush it. You can speak. Yeah, there you go, bro. Dude, you're the man. Oh.
You forgot to answer the second part. How do you tell somebody to put more order when he's already enjoying the life? You know? When,
so the question is, if you're already enjoying life, how do you put more efficiency in the business? I'm a contrarian, as you can tell. If you're living a happy life, why do anything else? I know people that have $2 million businesses that are living like kings. And they're not in this room right now, they're at the beach, and they're living a life that is the perfect life for them. And I applaud them. There's other people that...
Yeah, the problem is the ones that are in this room, they want more. that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, my question to you is, what's your more? And you know, Raul talked about that. Like when he was presenting, he didn't start off by saying, let's get a big business. He's like, you better love your family. He said the first thing is your body. You know, it's funny, Raul, when you were talking, when people ask me, what's the number one thing that I've identified in business owners that are successful, what did they do? It's work out. It's work out every morning, because that's the hardest discipline to have, is to exercise every single morning. And if you have a commitment to that, you'll have a commitment to the other disciplines of balance in your business. So if you want more in revenue, awesome. But do you want more in other aspects in life? That's pretty common too. I just want to point that out.
Another question, Mike. I'm insisting on business owners that they should hire somebody that breaks their, meaning that I always ask CEOs, have you brought in somebody into your team that's really changed the dynamic, changed the game?
Yeah.
Or have you brought in somebody that was waiting for orders, right?
Yeah.
And usually, like almost everybody hires somebody that they come in and you tell them what to do.
Yeah.
But there comes a point that where you hire somebody that they change the game in the company.
Yeah.
And that's hard when you haven't done it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how do you bring in talent that changes the game, or how have you advised, or what are your thoughts on bringing in people
Okay.
that are smarter than you?
Yeah.
Yesterday we were speaking with Felix. I'm in his personal board. So we're bringing in a new CAIO, which is the Chief Artificial Intelligence Officer.
Oh wow, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
smart. Yeah.
But that's something that technically we don't even know about, right?
Yeah.
We're hiring somebody that's really technically. So how do you think on bringing these technical spots that are really they're going to change the company,
Yeah.
and that you can't really control them, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or teach them?
Yeah, right. They're the innovators. So I had a guy, when I had my forensics business, this guy named Kevin, who was a genius. And he was also the most difficult person I've ever worked with in my life. We'd start off with a morning huddle. If you don't have a morning huddle, it's the best way, I found, to engage your team. So we have a meeting on Zoom, if you're remote or in person, every morning at 9:01, including this morning. That's why I came a few seconds late. I just said, I got to check out. And the team comes together and we talk about the mission of the company for today. What's the thing we're going to move today toward our TAC, our 90-day plan, and move the business forward, and everyone reports. Well, Kevin, he was like the AI guy of 20 years ago, would never be at the huddle. And I'm like, what the hell, man? We have an expectation here. He would roll in at like 11 o'clock in the afternoon and just be like, what's up, man? And the team is like, this guy is a jerk. But he was so smart and so capable. Sometimes you have to cordon or put someone in a corner, and that's what we did with Kevin. At a certain point, I was yelling, Kevin, you got to come in early, and maybe he'd do it for a day. I realized he's an Einstein. So I literally got him in his own room, disconnected from our office, and said, do your magic. And yes, he would roll in at 10 o'clock in the morning, but he'd work till 10 o'clock at night, clicking away, and he cracked the Enron case. He's the guy who did it. Enron, we actually found the evidence that the prosecution used. So here's one of the pieces of evidence. There's a thing called the Nigerian barge trial. What Enron did is they called Arthur Anderson, their accountant, and said, we have a barge in Nigeria that's worth $500 million. We want you to buy it on December 31st so we can boost our revenue by $500 million. On January 1st, we'll buy it back for $500 million so you don't feel it. They sold it to Arthur Anderson and they didn't buy it back. And there is a memo of them ripping off Arthur Anderson to $500 million. And Kevin found it because I allowed him to be his own Einstein in his own corner. I think the mistake is when you have a thoroughbred is to, I gotta sit and ride on this horse. They're still wild. The better thing I found for myself is to observe the horse and see how I can work within their parameters. I had that monolithic, we start at 9, we finish at 5, everyone shows up to a meeting, and I started to sit back and say, what's optimal for you? You were talking about the younger generation. There's no question, the Gen Zs that we have do want flex work, they want flex hours. I looked at a study, it's a British study, that the average knowledge worker is productive for 3.3 hours per day, regardless of hours worked. So if we're in the knowledge space, if you and I work 8 hours, we're gonna get about 3.5 hours of output. If we work 10 hours, 3.5 hours output, but if we work 4 hours, 3.5 hours output. We started shifting our Gen Zs to part-time work. And I said, let me just give them 8 hours of work, but only give them 4 hours to do it. And sure enough, they're getting all their work done in their 4 hours. What I learned is, I got a wild horse here. It's better for me to observe and figure out how to put him in a racetrack as opposed to hop on board and try to control.
Interesting, Mike. Also, there's a big difference, big cultural difference between companies in the States and in Mexico in terms of the culture you guys build and the rituals.
Yeah.
Right? I remember when I was a kid, we had the first franchises coming in from the States. And they would do, like, they would have this little, like, you were saying, the huddle up, the dance, where they would, the waiters would meet before the opening and they would sing a chant and something. And we would look at that and that was like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because we've never seen something like that.
Sure.
Right? So, and people laughed at it.
Yeah.
But then you saw the thing grow and then it's like if you felt the laugh back at you, no? And I believe that there are very interesting companies which have done very interesting results in this room, but they haven't believed in them, in the company, as to create rituals, as to create something over the, how would you say it? Over the normal limit of behavior, right? And we're going to have later on Luis, he's going to speak about company culture and high performance culture.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right,
yeah.
But what are your thoughts on the rituals and on how do you how does that harness growth? What have you seen on that end?
Yeah, there's a thing called the sampling effect. I don't know if you guys noticed. Right out there is a food truck. You see, it says authentic Mexican food. As you see it, it's right down there. Now I don't know if anyone here is from Mexico. What do you think that food tastes like? Taco Bell. It's fucking Taco Bell. They're saying authentic Mexican food. But I'll tell you what this truck is also doing. There's people here in the States that haven't had true Mexican food. I was outside Monterrey and I had carnitas that blew my mind. I didn't know a taco is about this big and oh my God. This is gonna be Taco Bell. But it's enough for an American to sample and say, you know what, maybe I'll take a trip down to Monterrey. Maybe I'll try out carnitas. It's enough to sample. What I invite you to do is when someone comes in with this maverick idea, and I've experienced it. Listen, I've gone to some big companies in Mexico and they're like, dude, you're crazy. That's never going to work here. I simply say, just try the carnitas, just a little taste, and play with it. But also make it your own. Don't ever force a fake culture. What is true to your community? I've been talking about, and there's experts on what's called core values. There's an author named Jim Collins talks about, here is the values of the owner. And I'm a proponent for this until recently I found maybe that is actually wrong. I thought we have to have the values that we institute. But what I realized is by having values for myself and expecting it of others, I force them to be like me or get kicked out. It caused tunnel vision. What I then found is maybe we have what's called communal values. As my organization grows, we sit down and we talk about our values. Last quarter, we have a quarterly retreat. my 20 colleagues and I go, and I said, one of the main values I have is no dicks allowed. I even shared that with you earlier. One of my colleagues raised her hand and said, Mike, that's kind of bro-y. Like, it's a woman. She's like, that's great for guys, but I don't like that. We said, well, what speaks to you? She's like, I want to give goodness to others. And we started to talk about it, and we came upon this idea called be the Ted Lasso. I don't know if you ever saw his TV show, Ted Lasso. Yes. Yeah, he's the eternal optimist. And the community said, be the Ted Lasso. And we're like, that's who we are. So we took a concept, and we simply sampled it, and then we found what really works for our culture. So just back to your point. Take these crazy ideas, don't institute them and force them, because then you're saying no dicks allowed and it's not going to land. Instead, come and say, I want you guys to taste the carnitas and see if we can build something around this and it becomes its own.
Can I add
Adolfo?
Yeah.
Juan Claudio?
Make sure the group hears too.
This is actually something that you said in one of your books. The key is not to be better than the competition. The key is to be different than the competition. Sometimes AI give you faster advantage, but they don't give you difference. That's actually where we're looking for, to be different than the competition.
Thank you. Dude, you're going home with me, right? I didn't mean, you know what I'm saying. In the back, there's boxes back there. I brought a book called Get Different. It speaks to this specific strategy, but I'll tell you the basics. Research shows that customers cannot identify better. I'll give you an example. If you and I compete, and I answer the phone in 2 rings, and you say, I'm going to be better than Mike, I'm going to answer the phone in 1 ring, customer's not going to notice. Better is a small incremental improvement. So the common response is, make a 10 times improvement. That's really freaking hard. I got to answer the phone before it even rings to make a 10-time improvement. But what I can do is do something no one else has done before, to be different. In the book, I give an example. When I walked down the street coming here, I noticed there was 4 gyms I passed by, workout, fitness gyms. All of them, in their windows, had a before and after picture. So it's some guy sitting there, he's all schlubby. The next picture, he's all ripped and jacked, right? A woman, she's looking not so great. All of a sudden, she's in this beautiful bikini. Every single one was before and after. What happens to the human mind is when we see something we've seen before and it's not relevant, we ignore it. Technically, it's called habituation. Our mind is programmed to ignore the common noise. There's stuff, I don't know, there's people walking around in the back, there's an air conditioner blowing. Our mind filters this stuff out so we can pay attention to the one thing. So the question is, how do you get attention when people are designed to ignore things? You don't. The first gym said, we'll help you lose 10 pounds. The second place said, we'll help you lose 20 pounds. It's better. But no one's noticing it. You can be different. We worked with a gym, it ended up being in Salt Lake City. We said, what does all your competition do? And I invite you to do the same thing. Write down everything your competition does. Then we said, that's the one thing we won't do. We're not going to do before and afters. What we did is we got a mirror at a fun house. And it's like one of these standing mirrors that when you look in front of it, your body warps. And the first mirror we put in the window, and it said on it in big text, it said before, and it made you look all bloated. The next mirror next to it made you thin and look all chiseled, and it said after. So people are walking down the street, and they see this mirror, and they're like, oh my God. They're taking pictures of themselves. And a sign next to it said, we just transformed you in mirrors. How about we do this in real life? Walk inside. Foot traffic exploded because they did different. The lesson I'm sharing with you here is if you're trying to beat the competition by being better, you're in a losing race. You beat the competition by doing something they've never done before or don't have the courage to do. And you'll stand out. Yeah.
Over there in the back is Daniel Gomez, which is also an author.
Oh, rock and roll. Auteur.
2 books, and this is more for the author part. And we're by the way, we're almost ending, so if you have any questions, this is the time. I'm having trouble. My books are always, because I want to get to that complex side of business.
Yeah.
Right, on the strategy part.
Yeah.
You start putting in stuff in the book, right? I sent you my book, by the way. I should arrive. Or,
yeah, we just got it.
Yeah. So, but the problem, now that I've read it, I mean, after it, I put so much thing in. It's too much, right? And what's amazing to me is that these concepts,
So basic.
they are very simple, right? and you take a whole, I mean, you could explain the book in a page
Yeah.
or in a book.
Yes.
Right. You have so much stories to tell that it takes a book for you, Mike.
Correct.
But how do you stop your author to putting more things in, right?
Yeah.
Because it gets complex and then
Yeah.
it doesn't communicate as well.
So as an author, this is true for marketing your business, is our human mind can only consume so much before it becomes overwhelmed. Do you know the organ that burns the most calories in the human body is the brain? It takes up 20% of our caloric burn. We were just doing push-ups. That used less calories than thinking. Our mind is designed to conserve calories, meaning the less thinking we have to do, the more energy we'll have reserved. And that's why our mind is designed to ignore most things. And when something becomes overwhelming, you go into shutdown mode. I'm sure you've been listening to a podcast, and all of a sudden you're like, an hour passed, I didn't hear a single thing. Because your mind went to shutdown, it's not relevant. What the human mind is very capable of consuming is short, simple, consumable ideas, particularly that it can relate to. So every book I write, I go down to the core essence of the concept. The second thing the human mind is really good at is picture generation. It's funny, when Carlos came up, it's like, where's your PowerPoint? I'm like, I never use a PowerPoint. Why? I never use a PowerPoint is the greatest picture I can draw is the one that you draw in your mind. So when I say circus, I could put an elephant here, but maybe you're thinking of a circus tent or that clown. I know the picture you draw is the stickiest, most powerful thing, and it requires the least calories. I don't have to insert something. So my books, what I do is I go in one concept and I tell a story that I hope will draw a picture, and you'll say, yes, I consume that. Then I'll tell the same story, the same concept in a new way, in a story that I hope you go, yes. And that's what I'm doing. When you market your business, a lot of businesses try to get too cute, meaning, you'll use terminology that is used to invoke thought and curiosity and fun. So instead of like, we sell running shoes, it may say, faster than you've ever been, fly like a Greek god. And the customer's like, what the hell do you do? And our mind shuts down. Our website should say, we sell the best running shoes, period. You want to run fast? You found your spot, period. Our mind wants to reduce caloric burn. I could go on for hours about all the things you can do to really tweak your finances, and your mind would just go, if I simply say to myself, what's the one thing that will move you forward most of the way, and I can get it in one sentence, I win. Profit first, the whole book is in 2 words, profit first. The majority of people who read the book never crack the cover, and I don't expect them to. I gotta nail it in the title. I do what it's called a formulaic title. I spend the vast majority of my effort picking the title that's gonna nail it. We have a billboard mentality. Next time you drive down the highway, leaving here, going anywhere, look at the billboards. Those are the best marketing ever because they know I got you for 1 second or 2 before you're back on the road. When I write a book, I got you for 1 second or 2 before you decide if I'm going to even go to the next page. I got to win you in the title. When I visit your website, you got 1, maybe 2 seconds to prove to me you are the choice. Fast billboard mentality. That's why I write.
Questions? Any last questions from the room? Raul, you want to do a final question?
I want to do a quick insight. I read your book 2 years ago. Great book.
Thanks.
I love the part that you said, take the money and put in an account that you don't have access.
Yeah.
And if I didn't read that part, because I've done it before, I would always take it out. So part of discipline is get the profits and put it somewhere that it's not easy accessible. Because entrepreneurs, we need money, we're going to use our own money to access it. So that's
Thank you, hermano. Raul's probably the most disciplined person I've met in years. I mean, and he says he can't even withstand it. The most dangerous belief is that we have willpower. The most dangerous belief is we have willpower. And that willpower is strong enough to withstand anything. I love chocolate chip cookies. I love chocolate chip cookies. If you put a chocolate chip cookie in front of me, I'll play the same game. I'm like, no. I want to look like Raul. I'm not going to eat that. And I'm like, well, I'll just smell it. And then all of a sudden I'll eat a piece, and then all of a sudden I'm crying as I'm eating chocolate chip cookies. We cave into willpower. If you take your money and simply put it in another account, the moment's going to come and say, I need this money for something, just this one time, and you steal from yourself. I live by this system. I've had 58 consecutive quarters of profit. This is going back almost about 15 years ago, I started the system. 58 consecutive quarters of profit. Most public companies don't have 2 years of consecutive profits. I've done it for 15 years straight. And I've done it by removing temptation. Now here's how I do it. The president of our company, her name is Kelsey. We have a bank account, it's called Relay, we put our money into. She has the username for the account. I don't have the username. I have a password for the account. She doesn't have the password. When we withdraw money, which is happening at the end of September 31st, next profit distribution, it's lots of money. She's gonna go into her office, she's gonna enter the username. We do it every time. She puts a sticky note over it. I walk into the office, I enter the password, and then she comes back in and we go 1, 2, 3. It's like turning the nuclear keys. It unlocks it. And then we have access to money for the only use of profit, which is to reward shareholders. You took risk in starting a business. You are the shareholder. We must reward you for being 3% of the population that supports 97% of the population. You deserve profit. You need it. We need you to have it. But you can't be tempted to steal from yourself. Thanks for letting me get it.
The king dies, the kingdom doesn't rise. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, hermano. Gracias, hermano.
I have a question. Well, imagine that you are away for 4 weeks, that you took a vacation for 4 weeks, and the people in the company is like, okay, if he's away, and we're doing all the work, why do we need him? Why don't we make that
Hijack the business.
Yeah.
So how do you?
Or when we start our own business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how do you prevent that from happening?
Yeah, so the question is, if the gato is away, the mice will play. No gato, here we go. My Spanish is, my Spanglish. It's pretty bad,
You're getting there, Mike.
I'm getting there, yeah. But it is a reality, right? There is a risk that certain employees will say, screw this, I'm gonna start my own business. So you know what we do? When someone comes onto our company, we say, we hope you wanna start your own business one day. I'm an author. I have 20 employees. I say, I hope you want to become an author one day. It's actually been the best decision of my life. So here's the plan. We're going to teach you everything about operating this business. In fact, I'm going to leave for 4 weeks so you can operate on your own, so you know how to run your own business one day. Within 5 years of today, you're going to be ready to start your own business. And I'm going to be your first investor. I'm going to put some money and my network into it, and I want to be part of your business. And I'll have 10%. But this way you start your own business. Now I'm in alignment with their dream. So my employees, when I leave, they're like, okay, this is the test. I'm going to do this one day for myself. And they push in even harder. The mistake business owners make, and this may be the final thought, because I want to call bullshit on this. We've been told to set a corporate goal. Do you know that's the worst thing to do for your business? Let me tell you why. I have a corporate goal. I want to achieve 50 million for my business, for example. That's the X in the sand. I come to my employees, I call everyone together and say, hey, great news. I set a corporate goal. We're going to achieve $50 million in revenue. How do you feel about that? They're like, you get the new car, you get the bigger house. Why do we care? I go to my team, I don't set corporate goals, I set collective goals. Great leaders, and I'm not one, I aspire to be a great leader. Great leaders do not set corporate goals, we set collective goals. I say my dream for our organization is to achieve 50 million. What's your dream? I have one employee who's overcoming, I get emotional, cancer. She's 5 years clean, if you will. I can't wait till it's number year 6. I have one person looking to learn Spanish and to move to Barcelona. And it's our president. It's going to leave the company to live in Barcelona and still work for us remotely. I have another person who's looking to play guitar. I have another person that is looking to move on and start their own business in technology. I know everyone's dreams. And my job is not to set the goal for me, I set the goal for us. We lock arms, and every quarter I sit down, I say, how are we doing with the cancer? We have, I don't know if I showed this to you, in our office we have a wall that's about 1.5 times as tall as this. There is a barren tree. It's a piece of wallpaper. It's a tree with not a single leaf on it. Every time one of my colleagues achieves a dream, you write, learn more Spanish, moving to Barcelona next month, 6 years cancer-free. The entire team stands up and is like, whoo, we did it. We slap it up there. When I care more about the dream of my colleagues, even than some of their spouses do, guess what they care about? My dream. My team, I promise you, will do anything for my company and for me, because I will do anything for them to achieve their dream. That's how you do it, brother.
And that's a beautiful ritual, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, and if you're ever in New Jersey, I invite you to come by our office. We'll show you how stuff's done. We have an open book. You can tour the place and we'll show you.
Thank you so much. Un aplauso para Mike, por favor.
Gracias.